Ladies and gentlemen, you see, in this life, nothing moves without movement. Even the planets, they are spinning tirelessly. The sun, the moon, the entire cosmos, everything is in action. But you lying in bed waiting for motivation, what are you waiting for? Some divine push, Sham? No. If you are alive today, that is the only motivation you need. Every breath you take is a reminder that you have been given this one more day. What you do with it is entirely yours. People ask, how do I stay inspired to work hard? How do I stay inspired to work hard? You don't need inspiration. When you are deeply involved in something, hard work doesn't feel hard. When you are committed, discipline is not a punishment, it's a form of grace. Laziness is not relaxation. Don't misunderstand this. True rest comes after you have stretched yourself. Otherwise, your body may be lying down, but your mind will be restless, agitated. That's not peace, that's decay. Stop waiting for life to become easy. It never will. But it can become profound, it can become joyful. That will only happen if you rise each day with the intent to give your best. No matter what, whether success comes or not, that is secondary. The important thing is you showed up for your life. You don't have to do something grand. Just do what you're doing with absolute intensity. Even if you're sweeping the floor, sweep it like the world depends on it. Hard work is not about suffering. It is about immersing yourself so totally that something within you begins to expand. That expansion is life. So tomorrow morning, don't wait for the alarm, don't wait for motivation. Just get up with your back straight, eyes open and a fire inside, and then work. Not because someone told you to, but because that's how life is lived fully. Discipline is not a cage, it is the key that opens the gate to everything that truly matters. Because when you choose discipline, you are not chaining yourself, you are unchaining yourself from the chaos of impulse, from the slavery of mood, from the noise of scattered thoughts that pull you in every direction and leave you empty at the end of the day. And though the undisciplined mind may seem like it is free, it is only free to fall, free to drift, free to destroy its own potential. People think freedom means doing whatever you feel like, whenever you feel like, but that kind of freedom is just another name for addiction to comfort. And comfort is a sweet poison that makes you soft. And when life demands strength, you will find yourself unprepared. And that is not freedom. That is helplessness wearing the mask of… Discipline, on the other hand, is not about punishment, it is about alignment. It is about bringing your body, your mind, your emotions and your energies into one direction with such clarity that you move through life not by luck, not by random waves, but by your own conscious way. And that is the highest form of freedom a human being can know. If you wake up every day and do what needs to be done, not because someone forces you, not because you are afraid, but because you have seen what it brings into your life, then discipline becomes devotion. And in devotion, there is a kind of joy that those chasing comfort will never know. Because they are too busy avoiding effort to ever taste the fruit of effort. The body obeys the mind obeys the will, and the will is only sharpened through consistent action. And when that cycle becomes steady, you stop being a victim of your moods, your past, your distractions, and you start becoming the author of your day, your direction, your destiny. And there is no greater empowerment than to be able to write your life deliberately. People chase inspiration, but the truth is, inspiration is like the wind, it comes and goes, but discipline is the sail that catches whatever wind blows and still moves you forward. And in that, there is no waiting, no depending, no hoping. There is only moving, step by step, breath by breath, towards something real. You will fall, of course you will. Discipline does not make you perfect, but it gives you the spine to rise again, to continue, to endure without bitterness. And when you see others stuck in the loop of trying and quitting and blaming, you will realize your freedom is not that you never struggle, but that you never give up, and that is a deeper liberation than any passing thrill. So let discipline not be something you dread, let it be something you wear like armor, something you carry like fire, something you walk with like a friend. Because when the world around you trembles, when others are lost in confusion, you will still know who you are, what you are doing and where you are going, and that truly is freedom. Laziness is not the gentle pause that heals you. It is the slow sinking into nothingness that you don't even notice until it's too late, because while rest restores, laziness removes, while rest fills you, laziness drains you. And the most dangerous part is that laziness wears the same face as rest. It sounds like, I'll do it later. It feels like harmless silence, but it is actually the silence that grows weeds in your mind. It is the stillness where not peace but stagnation breathes. You think you are just taking a break, just catching your breath, just one more scroll, one more episode, one more nap, but slowly the sharpness of your mind dulls. The hunger in your spirit fades, and the fire that once made you move without needing to be pushed starts flickering in the corners. Unsure whether to burn or die out, and all the while you believe you are just relaxing, but you are decomposing by the hour. Laziness is a thief that doesn't come with noise. It doesn't break doors, it doesn't shout. It just waits patiently until your dreams rot in your own hands, until your potential is buried beneath until your body becomes heavy, not from work, but from weightless time wasted in excuses and meaningless pleasure. And suddenly you wonder where all your energy went, where your discipline disappeared, not realizing it melted into the cushion of every lazy hour you allowed. It is sacred, it has structure, it breathes purpose, it is what you earn after effort, and it has an end, a boundary. But laziness has no edge, it creeps into days, weeks, months, and then one day you wake up and the person you hope to become is a distant memory. Not because life stopped you, but because you stopped moving. People say, I'm just tired, but often they are not tired from doing too much, they are tired from doing too little that matters, from dragging themselves through life without fire, without rhythm, and the weight they feel is not exhaustion, but the heaviness of unrealized potential pressing against their chests, reminding them that something inside is being wasted with every breath not lived fully. Laziness sounds like mercy, like self-care, but it becomes poison when it replaces action, because the body is meant to move. The mind is meant to think sharply, the soul is meant to strive, and when you deny that, you are not being kind to yourself. You are slowly turning away from the very nature that makes you alive, and that disconnection is not peace, it is erosion. And the most tragic part is, it doesn't feel like decay at first. It feels soft, warm, forgiving, like sinking into a pillow that holds you forever. But the longer you stay there, the more you forget what it means to rise with purpose, to feel the discomfort of growth, to earn your rest with dignity. And soon even your dreams become exhausting to think about because you've trained yourself to avoid effort at all costs. So understand, rest is the pause between battles. It is the moment the warrior breathes before lifting the sword again. But laziness is when the sword rests in the corner, untouched, forgotten, while you convince yourself you are safe, and all the while your strength fades, your edge dulls, and your life, unlived, starts to silently decay. Every sunrise is not just light spilling over the horizon, it is life tapping on your shoulder once more saying, I have not given up on you, because no matter how lost you were yesterday, no matter how many steps you missed, mistakes you made, or moments you wasted, the sun still rises as if to say, here, begin again. And there is something profoundly generous about that. Something so sacred that we often forget it in the rush to check our phones, complain about sleep, and carry the weight of yesterday into the arms of today. This light that returns every morning does not discriminate. It shines on the broken and the healed, on the tired and the ready, on the dreamer and the doubter. And in doing so, it offers a quiet invitation, not a demand, not a shout, just a gentle whisper. Let it be yours, let it be conscious, let it be new, not in routine but in awareness, not in events but in how you meet them. You may have failed, yes, but the sun does not rise to remind you of failure. It rises to remind you that you are still here, still breathing, still able to try, and that is more than enough to begin. And in that beginning there is power. Not loud, not flashy, but steady, like the way rivers carve through stone not by force, but by persistence day after day. You don't have to wake up with grand plans, you don't have to conquer the world before breakfast, but you do have to show up, to honor this new chance with presence, with honesty, and maybe just one small step that you didn't take yesterday. Because even a single conscious breath taken at sunrise can be the beginning of something beautiful, something different, something true. It is not about perfection, it never was, it is about choosing not to be defined by the past, not being trapped by your patterns, not letting yesterday's dust cloud today's clarity. And while the mind will try to drag everything from behind into today's fresh air, it is you who must choose to stand still, breathe deep, and remember that this sunrise belongs to now, not then. Even if the problems are still there, even if the pain hasn't vanished, even if the road ahead is uncertain, the sunrise doesn't ask for certainty, it only offers possibility. And possibility is enough to plant a seed, to take a step to turn your face toward warmth instead of shadows. Because sometimes that is all it takes to change the course of an entire life, a decision made in the quiet honesty of morning. Some will slip through it, some will ignore it, some will treat it as just another day. But those who understand will greet it like a sacred visitor, a reminder from the universe that time is still with you, that breath still flows through you, that life despite everything, still extending its hand saying, "Ah, come, walk with me." So let the sunrise not be a routine blur behind closed windows. Let it be a silent celebration of your existence. Let it be the gong that calls your spirit to rise, not just your body, not just your body, not just your eyes, but your intention, your will, your presence, because in this everything can begin again work is not a punishment. It is a privilege that many pray for while others complain about, because to be able to move your limbs, to engage your mind, to pour yourself into something that creates, supports or uplifts, even in the smallest way, is not a burden but a blessing in disguise, though the modern mind, tangled in comfort and distracted by the noise of ease, often forgets that the ability to work is not guaranteed, that many lie in beds wishing they could do what you avoid, and many sit idle not by choice but by circumstance. We were not born to lie still to float through life untouched by effort, because even the tree must dig its roots deep, the bird must fly against the wind, the river must cut through rock to find its way to the ocean, and in the same way, human beings are not meant to wither in laziness or sink into entitlement, but to rise in movement, in contribution, in the sheer joy of knowing that what you do, however small, carries weight in the web of life. Work is not what drains you, it is what defines you. And if it feels heavy, it is not the task itself, but your resistance to it. Because resistance creates suffering, while involvement dissolves the very sense of hardship. And when you do something fully with presence, even the most ordinary act becomes sacred. Not because of what it looks like from the outside, but because of how it transforms you from within. Some look at labor and think, why should I do this? But the deeper question is, how lucky am I to be capable of this? Because the moment you realize that your ability to work is not a punishment but a door to dignity, growth, expression and self-overcoming, you will stop dragging your feet and start honoring the path beneath them. No matter how humble, no matter how hard, those who see work as suffering often work with a poisoned mind, counting hours, resenting effort, longing for escape. But those who understand that to work is to serve life itself, whether it is your family, your community, or simply the inner urge to build something meaningful, carry even their fatigue with a smile, because that fatigue is undone. There is a strange kind of peace in knowing your energy was spent for something beyond comfort. We have come to associate rest with luxury and work with struggle. But the truth is, rest only has value when it follows work, and freedom only has taste when you've known the discipline of striving. Because without effort, even pleasure becomes dull, even free time becomes empty, and eventually, a life without work becomes a life without purpose. Look around and you will see that everything that matters, every bridge, every book, every field of grain, every child raised with care, was built by hands that worked, minds that stayed focused, hearts that showed up even when it was hard. And in that there's nothing to be ashamed of, but everything to be grateful for, because work is what keeps the world alive. And if you can participate in that even in a small way, you are blessed beyond measure. So let us not curse our responsibilities or drag our tasks like chains, but lift them like sacred offerings, knowing that to work is not a sentence passed upon us, but a chance granted to us to grow, to give, to touch life and be touched by it, because work in its truest form is not what breaks you, it is what builds you. You are a sculptor of your life, not by grand declarations or dramatic moments alone, but by every small decision you make when no one is watching, every thought you entertain, every habit you nurture or neglect, because life does not shape you in a single stroke, it molds you slowly. Through repetition, through attention, through the way you carry your mornings and respond to your evenings, and those circumstances may give you the stone, it is your hands, your chisel, your vision that must define the shape. No one else holds that tool for long, not your parents, not your teachers, not society, not luck. Because though others may try to carve for you, to press their ideas into your surface, to label you this or that, ultimately it is only when you take responsibility, when you say, "This is my work and mine alone," that the real sculpture begins to emerge. The one that is not a copy, not a reaction, not a collection of borrowed expectations, but something original, something true. You may not have chosen the raw material, the cracks, the weight, the color of the stone you were given, but how you approach it, how patiently you cut, how bravely you chip away what does not belong, that is all yours. And in that power lies your freedom, because the raw block may look unremarkable, even flawed, but within it sleeps a form that only you can release, and no one else will ever see it until you carve it into being. Sometimes you will make mistakes, sometimes you will strike too hard, and pieces will fall that you meant to keep. And other times you will hesitate, afraid to ruin it, afraid to change. But even in those moments, you are sculpting, either shaping your life with courage or letting fear shape it for you. And every hesitation, every bold cut becomes part of the final form not to be erased, but to be included in the texture of who you're becoming. The work is never finished in a single season because the sculpture of your life is not one of stone but one of breath, of growing awareness, constantly in motion, constantly revealing more. And even when others cannot see what you are working on, even when it all looks like dust and fragments, you must keep chiseling, not because it is easy, but because you know something deeper is waiting beneath the surface. There will be voices telling you how you should look, what shape is more acceptable, what features to copy, what details to hide, but if you listen to too many of them, you will carve yourself into someone else's idea. And though the sculpture may look polished, it will feel hollow because nothing is more painful than living as a masterpiece you do not recognize. You're not here to be perfect, you are here to be real, to sculpt with both your flaws and your brilliance, to allow the asymmetry of your journey, the uneven edges of your truth, to stay visible not because they are mistakes, but because they remind you that this sculpture is alive. Not frozen in stone, but dancing between who you were and who you are still willing to become. So take up your chisel each day, not with fear but with reverence, knowing that every thought you clean, every action you shape, every belief you carve out or carve in, is leaving a mark on the figure that will one day stand tall, quietly powerful, not needing a perfect. Only presence, because you are the sculptor of your life and this right now is your marble.